Hey guys, so today we're going to see a problem. It's problem number 362 in LeetCode. It is a design hit counter problem. It's a medium problem, as you can see. So it's actually sort of an easy problem. So design a hit counter which counts the number of hits received in the past 5 minutes. Each function accepts a timestamp parameter in seconds granularity, and you may assume that calls are being made to the system in chronological order. That is, the timestamp is monotonically increasing. You may assume that the earliest timestamp starts at 1. It is possible that several hits arrive roughly at the same time. So example, hit counter equal to new hit counter, right? So if you see the class on the right hand side, it's called the hit counter, so they're instantiating it. And then on the right hand side, if you see that it has two methods. One is a void hit, which takes in a timestamp, and the other is the int get hits of int of timestamp. And they say that void hit of int timestamp, it records a hit. Okay, so here on the left hand side, if you see hit at timestamp 1, so it has recorded a hit at timestamp 1, and they're calling hit with 2, which means it has recorded a hit at timestamp 2. Okay, and counted or hit of 3, so it has recorded a hit at timestamp 3. And get hits of 4. So if you see on the right hand side, they're calling this get hits of 4. So return the number of hits in the past 5 minutes. So remember in the description they say that the function accepts a timestamp parameter in seconds granularity. Okay, so 5 minutes in seconds is 5 into 60, which is 300. So basically in the 300 seconds, in the past 300 seconds, this function checks how many hits have occurred and then returns the number of hits. If you see at timestamp 4, we see that there are only 3 hits, right? And we have not even exhausted 5 minutes, right? So the number of hits should be 3. Now there is a hit at 300. Okay, and if you see, it is still within bounds. At 300 we've seen a hit, and it is still within that 300 seconds limit. So which means when you get hits at 300, we should return 4. Now what happens when you get hits at 301? Now at 301, if you see, so 301, at 301, the duration, the window, or you can say the window, right? The window is between 301 and 2, right? Because when you encounter 301, 1 goes out of scope, right? It is like a sliding window. If you actually see, so at 1 you have got a hit, at 2 you have got a hit, and at 3 you have got a hit, and at 300 you have got a hit. And okay, so at timestamp 300, right, which is 5 minutes, you have got 4 hits. But at timestamp 301, what happens is, let me say 4 by 300, this is the timestamp. Okay, at 300 timestamp we've got 4 hits because this is within the 5 minutes window. But at timestamp 301, right, so it should start from 2 to 301, right, because 1 has gone out of scope. So which means at 301 we'll be having only 3 hits. Okay, so this is gone out of scope. So basically for such problems, usually the approach is to have a queue, right, because a queue is useful in bounded buffer, and a queue is also useful in having a fixed rate sort of buffer. And so we can use the fixed length queue to basically ignore items which are not useful. So here when you say something is not useful, it means that we are considering the timestamp duration should be within the past 5 minutes, or which is actually 300 seconds. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a queue. So as soon as you see a hit, you add it to the queue. So for our example, we'll add 1. Okay, as soon as we see a hit of 1, we'll record it in the queue, it becomes 1. And hit of 2, we'll add 2. And hit of 3, we will add 3. And number of hits of 4. Now we see whether the 300, what is the current timestamp? It is 4, right? It get hits at timestamp 4. So the current timestamp is 4. Now 4 minus whatever is at the front of the queue, right? So that is the earliest timestamp where a hit has occurred. So 4 minus 1, this is actually less than or equal to 300, right? So in that case, not less than or equal to, less than 300. So which means we can go ahead and return the number of elements in the queue, because we have not reached past the expected duration. So the number of hits is going to be the size of the queue, which is 3. Now we've got a hit at 300, so we'll go ahead and record it in the queue, 300. Now at 300, we do call getHits function. So now what is the timestamp? Timestamp is 300. And what is the earliest timestamp in the queue? It is 1. And 300 minus 1, it is still less than 300. So it's still within the 300 seconds duration. So which means we can go ahead and return whatever is present in the queue. So the number of items in the queue is equal to the number of hits. So 4 is the number of hits. Okay. Now at timestamp 301, what we do is there is no record hit. We are just doing a get hits of 301. Now we see what is the timestamp right now. It is 301. What is the earliest timestamp? Just 1. And this is actually greater than or equal to 300. This is actually equal to 300. So which means the earliest timestamp should be not considered. So in that case, we'll remove 1 and we'll return the size of the queue, which is actually 3. Okay. I hope the idea was clear. So let's quickly go ahead and program this. So let's declare a queue of integers. I'm going to call this as queue. Okay, let's initialize it in our constructor. So we need to instantiate it as a linked list, right? And so in hit, so during hit we have to just add it to the queue. So whatever the timestamp, we'll just add, or we can say offer. You can use offer as well, or you can just say add, whatever it is. So you can just add it to the queue and get hits. Now we have to see so we have to basically check whether the queue is not empty, right? Is empty, and timestamp, right? What's the timestamp minus whatever is the earliest timestamp, so which is peak, or you can do a peak first as well. So if this is greater than or equal to 300, which means you have to remove all those items from our queue, right? So in that case, we will just pull it and remove it. And once we have got something at a duration which is well within our limits, then we'll go ahead and return the queue size, which basically tells us the number of hits in the last 5 minutes or 300 seconds. Okay, so if you run through this example, so get hit of 1, so queue.offer, so you will add 1 to the queue, and then 2, so you will hit of 2, so you'll add 2 to the queue, and then hit of 3, you will add 3 to the queue. Now get hits of 4, so queue is not empty. Yes, of course it is not empty, and timestamp is 4. and 4 minus q dot peak, which is 1. So 4 minus 1 is actually 3, which is not greater than or equal to 300, so we cannot remove anything from the queue. So we'll just go ahead and return q dot size, which is 3. So get hits of 4 is actually 3. And there is a hit at 300, so we'll add it to the queue at 300, and then get hits of 300. Now we'll come here and we find that the queue is not empty. What's the timestamp? This is 300. So 300 minus q dot peak is 1. 300 minus 1, which is actually 299, which is not greater than or equal to 300. So we cannot go ahead and pull items from the queue. So we'll return the size of the queue, which is 4. Now we have got get hits of 301. There's no hit, but then we're calling get hits with 301. So here queue is of course not empty, and timestamp, which is the timestamp, is 301, and 301 minus q dot peak, which is the earliest timestamp, is 1. So 301 minus 1 is 300, which is greater than or equal to 300, and so we'll poll the first item, so 1 will be removed, right? And we'll have 300. And now what is the current timestamp? Q is of course not empty, and current timestamp is 301, and 301 minus q dot peak, which is 2. 301 minus 2 is definitely not greater than or equal to 200, which means we will come out of this while loop and return q dot size, which is actually 3. Okay, and as you can see, the complexity, get in hit, we're just adding it to the queue, so it's of 1, whereas in get hits we'll remove certain items from the queue if they're not useful. So at the max it's going to be O of n. So let's quickly go ahead and run this code. It's accepted. Let's submit this code, and yeah, it's a successful submission. So I hope the approach was clear. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and if you have any specific requests, do let me know. Bye guys.